Ortkavelmi vjanna, pavant tlaned kottoverca ydonaios. Oasimallus durulolla plenelmelia, omnipsarlia pilviteferintios noticiennor antonarietesa. Ampsasisihuas sorotinisiluna. Nasirka ori lennesetinisi.
Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of Intro to the Omali language. If you haven't heard of Omali before, that's because I am the one and only speaker. Actually, I totally made it up. And that's because I am a language inventor. Yes, there is such a thing, and there are actually lots of us out there. A couple of the most well-known have been J.R.R. Tolkien, creator of Middle-earth and all its languages, including several Elvish languages, and Mark Okrand, my senior Berkeley-trained linguist, who is famous for creating Klingon for Star Trek. A lot of sci-fi and fantasy authors are also language creators. But creating languages, often called conlanging, is actually a much more common pursuit than you might think. To me, it's a lot like being a songwriter or a composer. It is such a good creative outlet in a deeply human medium. Except with language invention, people tend to think what you do is a lot more pointless and silly. So I decided to put together a video for those of you who are interested in learning more about my language. I've been creating languages off and on since I was a young child. My main project since college, when I was studying linguistics at UC Berkeley, has been a language called Omali, which literally means home language. The concept or the mission behind Omali is to create a language that I feel at home using, a language that flows easily off my tongue, a language that reflects my own worldview and aesthetics, a language where the words and meanings feel well matched to me, a language that incorporates many of the features that I have found most entrancing in all my studies of linguistics and languages, while still being unique and not derived from any real human language. The eventual goal is to be able to think, dream, and to speak fluently in Omali, and I think this means a lifetime of work. What I want to share with you today is an Omali translation of one of my favorite poems by Rainer Maria Rilke. To me, this poem speaks to that wonderful quality that we humans have of seeing patterns in the world and finding meaning in those patterns and how they make us feel. I would love for you to hear how it sounds in Omali and to see how it looks in the script I've developed.
Ortkavelmi vjanna, pavant tlaned kottoverca ydonaios. Oasimallus durulolla plenelmelia, omnipsarlia pilviteferintios noticiennor antonarietesa. Ampsasisihuas sorotinisiluna. Nasirka ori lennesetinisi.
It would take a very long video to explain everything that's going on linguistically, even in this very short poem. But I'll just point out a few tastes of what's to come for those of you who are interested in learning more about my language. First thing, Omali has a lot of morphology. In linguistics, morphology is the phenomenon of words changing and growing and taking on little bits in order to create different shades of meaning or to call on different aspects of the language's grammar. So here's the same poem broken down into different morphemes. A morpheme could be defined as the smallest definable combination of sound and meaning, or the smallest meaningful piece of a word. All those hyphens are morpheme boundaries, so you can see that the most meaningful pieces of a word are pretty small, and that words contain quite a few of them in Omali. By contrast, here is the English version rendered in the same way. Way less hyphens, right? So for a morphology geek like me, that makes English a little lackluster. Omali could be typologically classified, that is, in relation to other languages, as highly agglutinative language with some elements of polysynthesis and fusion. I would be more than happy to get deeper into that, but it would probably have to be another video. Another thing about Omali is that its basic canonical word order is VSO, verb, subject, object. So instead of saying the dog ate the bread, you would say ate the dog the bread. This VSO word order just feels the nicest to my brain, and it is a feature my language shares with many of the world's languages, including the Celtic languages, the Tamazight or Berber languages, Classical Arabic, Classical Hebrew, and some other Semitic languages, and various languages of the Pacific and Americas, including Tagalog and Classical Mayan. The dog ate the bread. You can see where I got that from. The last thing I want to highlight is a grammatical feature I don't know of any language having in quite the same way. Omali has a distinction between what I call the general and specific forms of a noun. The general is the unmarked form, and to form the specific you add a glottal stop, which I represent as a Q, to the end of the noun. Or sometimes other things happen, but let's not get into that right now. So if you are talking about dogs in general, or hypothetical dogs, you say vjanna. But if you are talking about a specific dog or dogs, it's vjanna. It doesn't matter if you are talking about one dog or multiple dogs. Omali has no obligatory grammatical number the way most European languages do. This is because I am always getting my grammatical number mixed up, even in English, so my brain just doesn't seem to deal with that technicality very smoothly. But if you speak a language like Japanese or Chinese, this lack of obligatory number marking will be familiar. More on that in future episodes, at least if anyone shows interest that they're interested in learning more about this project of mine. So let me know what you think. Feel free to subscribe, and thanks very much for watching. Branni. Come here, bud. Oh, banana. Lots of dogs.
Bien lettuciane. Verdi. Da cirine sirtha. Da cirine sirtha Verdi.